Today's learning target is I can graph points on a coordinate plane. We're going to talk about a couple of things on this slide here. First thing is this thing right here. This is called a coordinate plane. And so there's a couple of things that we want to take a look at with this coordinate plane. One is we can see that this coordinate plane is split up into four parts right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the prefix quad means 4. So that's why this is called quadrant 1. And so quad 4, so it's split into 4 parts. Quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay. Now you can see there's numbers here on what we call the axis here. So this is the y-axis, and here's the x-axis. And I always think of it this way to remember it. Sometimes they're labeled, like this one happens to be labeled. Sometimes they won't be labeled. I always remember it this way. The y-axis, a y, when you write a y, has a stick that goes up and down right there. So just like the y-axis has a stick as well, in a sense, right? So that's kind of right here. So that's very similar to this. And the x-axis is the other one. And so y-axis here, x-axis there. Now, the reason we need to know where the x and the y-axis are is sometimes we'll have what's called an ordered pair. In an ordered pair, I know you've seen these before, you find them, they're always in parentheses, and that will help us to find a place on this coordinate plane here. And so the first number in an ordered pair is the x-coordinate, and the second number is the y-coordinate. And I always remember this, if you think about the alphabet, W, X, Y, Z, right? So X comes before Y. So the first number in an ordered pair is always the X coordinate, or the X coordinate, and the second number is the Y coordinate. X, Y, and then Z would be there. So that always helped me. So for example, in this here, 3, if I were to find 3, all right, I'd say, okay, this is the x coordinate. So to find 3, I would move, and here this is called my origin. That's where I start. It's at 0. And then I'd go 1, 2, 3 to the right. And the reason I go to the right is because this is a positive number. If I went 3 to the left, just like on a number line, it would be getting smaller. That would be negative. So because this is a positive 3, I'm going to go 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, my y coordinate is negative 2. Okay. Now, I can see that on the y coordinate, up are the positive numbers, down are the negative numbers. So, I left off at my x coordinate was 3, and now I have negative 2. So, I want to go down to this. So I started at 3 because that's my x coordinate. I'm going to go down to negative 2. So I'd place my dot right there. Okay, and that would show me the ordered pair 3, negative 2, right there. I want to work a couple of problems here for you, problems that you'll see today. So we can see here in the check your progress, it says we're going to write the ordered pair that corresponds to each point, and then state the quadrant or axis on which the point is located. So I'm going to solve 2 of these here. I'm going to do letter A and letter C. So to do this, it says letter A. So first thing I have to do is find letter A. There it is. Now remember, I've got to go X first and then Y when I'm doing my ordered pair. Okay, so to go X, I remember my X goes this way, and my Y with that stick goes up and down. So I'm going to start the x-axis, and I see that I have to go to the negative 3 number here on the x-axis. So I know the first number is going to be negative 3. Now I see that I'm going down, okay, so I can see that this lines up with negative 5 here. So A is at negative 3, negative 5. And you see I put a comma in between them, so I split them up. That makes it easier to read. So that's really important. And then what quadrant? So remember, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So I can see that's going to be in quadrant 3, sorry. And to show that I'm doing that, that quadrant, I'm not just going to put a 3, but I'm going to put a Q3. Okay, I do the same thing for B. Okay, now C is going to be a little different, and you'll see why here in a second. But again, remember it's going to go X and Y when I put my ordered pair in here. So X, okay, I'm looking and I'm seeing it's on the 4, the number 4 for the X quadrant. So, or for the X axis. So it's going to go 4. Now, on the Y axis, you see it doesn't move. It stays right there at 0. So that's going to be at 0. So my ordered pair is going to be 4, 0. Okay. Now be careful. Don't say 0, 4. Because if you said that, 0, 4, it would be X, Y. Okay. Sorry for the sloppy handwriting. X would be at 0, and Y would be the 4. So that would actually put us right there. So it's important that you put those numbers in the correct order. Otherwise you get a totally different spot. So I can see here it's going to be right there. And actually, it's not technically in a quadrant. So that one wouldn't be in a specific quadrant. The last thing we're going to do is graph some coordinates that we're given. So if you are a Battleship fan, this will be easy for you. It's the same sort of thing you do in Battleship. And so, just a reminder here, it's always X and Y, right? So we got to keep that in mind. So we can see here, they showed us the example of 2 and -5. So we go on the X-axis, 2, so you see it's not numbered on this one. So we know that when we do a number line, 2 would be 1, 2, because if I go to this side, I'm negative numbers. So 2, and then -5. Remember, up is positive, so I have to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would put us right there. Okay, so let's take a look here at this one right here, letter D. So it says put an L at -4, 2. So think about this, X, Y. So my X number on the X axis should be at -4. I'll change the color here. So -4, -1, 2, 3. So -4 goes right there. And then +2. Remember, +2 is going to be up, going up, so I'm going to go 1, 2. So I put a dot right here, and I label it an L. Okay? So if I looked at letter F, 0, 1. So X, Y. So on the X-axis, it's going to be 0. So I stay just right there. I don't move. And on my Y-axis, I move +1. So that's going to go right there. Sorry, it's hard to write with the stylus. And then that's Y right there.